Lohan fist, Lohan boxing, Lohan chuanfa, Lohan chuan? What the heck is Lohan? Let's take a look. Lohan. Lohan is a Chinese term for an arat. What's an arat, you might ask? It's someone in the Buddhist world who has achieved enlightenment, is what their phrase means. And in the Shaolin tradition, a Lohan is someone who is a holy warrior. So they're someone who have achieved enlightenment, but they've decided to forego hopping back on the wheel of reincarnation. They're going to stay around and help humanity fight for good and reach higher goals. So the term Lohan and Shaolin are actually very, very closely tied, and we're going to get to some of that in just a second. But the terminology can actually kind of be used interchangeably. So if you have a school that studies Shaolin, you can also say they study Lohan. And the reason for this is that nearly all Eastern martial arts is influenced by Lohan, because Lohan is the fundamental. It is the foundation art, and we're going to see how that came about in just a second. But Lohan was first documented in around 960 AD at the Shaolin Temple during the Song Dynasty, and there's two main forms of Lohan. The short form, or the small Lohan, which has 27 postures, 36 movements, and the big Lohan, which has 36 postures and 54 minutes. These forms have basically influenced every single martial art in the Eastern world. You study JuJitsu, you study karate, you study Tai Chi. All of these things are going to be influenced by Lohan, because Lohan was the foundational art. It's the first real martial art that was taught at the Shaolin Temple, and we all know that Shaolin Temple, huge influence over the martial arts. Now, what does all this Arat, Lohan, enlightened warrior stuff have to do with actual martial arts? Well, all martial arts coming from, at least in some way, shaped by Shaolin traditions. But how did the Shaolin Temple, a Buddhist temple whose focus is on meditating to find enlightenment, come up with martial arts, you might ask? And that comes about through a figure named Bodhidharma, or Damu, who was a traveler from India who arrived in around the 5th or 6th century in China, and among other things, including inventing Chuan Buddhism, which was later in Japan named Zen, which we now know of, Zen Buddhist, Zen meditation, these sort of things. He founded that style of meditation, but he also was credited with having come up with a style of, or a system of, health exercises that he taught to the monks at the Shaolin Temple. When he first visited there, he saw that they were tired, weak, lethargic, and he said, we can't have you falling asleep while meditating, so let's get out there and do some exercises. And that tradition, what Bodhidharma laid down, this series of exercises, the series of movements, some say that it's based on animal movements, heavily influenced what later became Lohan. Lohan became the rest of Shaolin, the hundreds of, if not thousands of styles that Shaolin has influenced. So it all goes back to enlightened warriors and their ability to spread information throughout the martial arts world. This is Lohan fist. Why it's so hugely important. It's every martial art that we study from the Eastern traditions, heavily influenced by Lohan. I hope that helps, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.